If the American people wanted me to run for the presidency of the United States of America, I would strongly consider it. And damn it, I mean it. I mean, and listen, it ain't that big of a standard. I mean, let's call it what it is. I think I got a shot. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if people will vote for me, but if they convinced me that they wanted me to do it, I would strongly consider it. I would love to be in a presidential debate. Nothing.
I think you do great.
Oh, my week. Any day of the week. Name the time and place, and I'd show up.
How many foreign countries across the globe do you think Stephen A. could map on a globe? Name, pronounce, know who the leaders are, any of that. How many? But he wants to debate a guy that sat in the president's chair for 4 years. But he can't even provide a simple explanation for how a stat sheet says, hey, man, you played 9, 10 games here. You saying you played 0. What's the truth here? Who is Stephen Smith on the stat sheet? Show me a legitimate teammate. Don't run Gary Stevens out here, this midget that's 5'9" and running around the country pretending to be your former college teammate. And that Gary Stevens actually played tiny, small college basketball up in New York. Don't run this guy. There's no record of him ever being registered at Winston-Salem State. Look, you see the 4 people on the left, the group of midgets. Stephen A. is 6'1". The guy to the right of Stephen A. is Gary Stevens, who in one story is listed as a 6'3" guard. This is years ago, but there's no records, there's no stats. This is Gary Stevens, but Gary Stevens and Stephen A. Smith fly around the country together, partying together, claiming to be former Winston-Salem State teammates. Stephen A. Smith played on a team of midgets. I've reached out to Winston-Salem State players. None of them want to talk on the record. They don't want to get involved because they know the scam that's going on and that Winston-Salem State is generating money off the myth that Stephen A. Smith was some sort of college basketball player. Stephen A. Smith won't address the Mama Roseboro, the woman he claims is his college professor, always listed in newspaper accounts and in yearbooks as a secretary for the chancellor. Don't want to talk about it. This is politics. This is, and this is why I don't like politics or politicians, because they're all this kind of dishonest. Like Barack Obama created some narrative about himself, but this goes on with all of them. Not just Obama. This is Bill Clinton's narrative. All of them got some kind of phony, false narrative about themselves. Democrats or Republicans. Hey, take JFK. I like JFK. I wasn't around when he was around, but I like him. But you go dig into his history and how much of it was manufactured and manipulated by his dad, Joe. This has been the history of American politics for about 100 years, that people are installed in that office and manufactured backgrounds are put together. That's what's going on with Stephen A. Smith. Let's play SOT number 9, Stephen A. talking about the governor wanting him to run for Senate.
And one time I was approached by Governor Ed Rendell in Pennsylvania. He wanted me to run for Senate. Yeah, he said you should do it. I said, you don't know, I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative either, but I'm not. He said, don't matter with you. Don't matter with you. You're a voice that needs to be heard. He told me this about close to 10 years ago.
Stephen A. Smith is a voice that needs to be heard. So, and I'm open to this. Someone show me anything profound Stephen A. Smith has ever written or said. Any commentary about American history, culture, any news event that is profound, that is eye-opening, that's some sort of unique angle on the topic that gave you a new way to think about it. Show me any indication of that. What Stephen A. Smith was able to do in the sports media, I think Allen Iverson wants to be traded, or I think LeBron James wants to play here, or someone told me he used to give news tidbits. But a profound thinker, a voice that needs to be heard, no one has ever thought that about Stephen A. Smith. He trolls Cowboys fans. He trolls Kwame Brown. He trolls Zion Williamson. There's no journalist. I got to be careful because I don't want to irritate people. But there are no legitimate journalism awards that he's ever won for his writing. He'll get some sort of lifetime achievement award, but there's no piece of work that he ever put together as a journalist where someone say, hey man, this is at an award-winning level and we need to recognize this. This has set a new standard. That's not him. That's not what he does. He's not profound. He's a very limited intellectual who they've helped expand his vocabulary, and he is sometimes funny on first take, but he's always loud and, hey, look at me. That's what he's known for. So I'm going to reach a crescendo here and just get to the final point. Stephen A. Smith and Charles Barkley recently collaborated on Stephen A. Smith's podcast. And they didn't talk about the NBA, they talked about politics. And Charles Barkley is someone that I still consider a friend. And Charles Barkley has never treated me with anything but respect, and I want to make sure that I do that in turn and treat Charles Barkley with nothing but respect. I want to just point out here, though, that over the last 6 to 8 years, as Trump derangement syndrome has overtaken America, and the requirements to stay on television and in the good graces of TV executives have heightened. I believe that Charles Barkley has publicly changed